Hello, all of my crafty friends. Today I am going to bring you guys my first installment of May is for Mamas. And I wanted to do this series, and I'm going to use this Be My Valentine set from Simon Says Stamp today. As a matter of fact, with all of the stamps that I'm going to use this month, I am going to be using some of the Simon Says Stamp cards, or Simon Says stamps. So I'm going to go ahead and start stamping out my images. I'm stamping out all of the florals from this image set. And I've decided that I wanted to do a couple of cards this month that were for her. And of course, most of these will have florals as their theme, because when I think about the women in our lives who are important and who mean so much to us, I think about flowers. And it's probably just because I absolutely love flowers, but that is what I'm doing. So I hope you guys will enjoy this series, and please make sure that you guys leave me comments, like, subscribe, comment, and let me know what it is that you guys would like to see. So we've got those images stamped out. I have stamped them out twice, and now I'm going to show you all of the different color combinations that I'm going to be using. Now, I'm not going to show you guys all of the coloring today. I'm just going to show you one thing with each of the color combinations that I'm using, and then I'm going to go off screen and I'm going to color the rest, because I'm a slow colorist and we would be coloring forever. As you guys know, I have kind of changed the view of the coloring, so I would like to know if you guys are enjoying this view, if this is beneficial, or if you guys prefer the overhead coloring. So here we are starting with this first rose, and I'm starting with my lightest color, and I'm going to map out my darkest section. So this is where two petals meet, where the flowers folding over each other, where one petal is overlapping another, and I'm just really taking my time and looking at each part of the flower, not trying to look at the flower as a whole, because I get intimidated when I look at an entire flower that has a lot of petals, because I get confused as to what flower petal is doing what. So I've really been trying to make sure that I'm just looking at one area at a time, kind of breaking the image down into smaller sections. And then if I miss something, going back in and doing that. And sometimes this mapping has been very, very beneficial, and it helps me to see the flower better. So now that I've mapped it out with the lightest color, I'm going in with my darkest shade, and I am going to, is this my darkest shade? I don't know. This might be the one that I was a little intimidated by, so I was like, let me move in slow, because you know I'm working with reds. I think I'm building up. I think I'm going lightest to darkest, and then back out darkest, back out to lightest with this particular image, just because, like I said, I'm dealing with those reds, and I don't feel like I had any room for error, and I was really trying to do this one step at a time, so I wanted to make sure that I did it correctly. Not to say that I think anyone would have really noticed had I made a mistake, because there's just a lot going on with this flower, and I feel like if I don't notice it, then most other people who are the recipient of cards wouldn't notice it either. So yes, this is the card that I'm going, and I'm doing lightest to darkest, and then darkest back out to lightest. Now typically what I would do is I would use my lightest color to go ahead and map out all my areas, and then jump right in with my darkest color and pull that back out, and then do that twice, so that the paper is good and saturated, and so that my colors will blend in very well. So R59 is my darkest color for this rose, and I wanted to do kind of like a dark and light. So I have like a deep red rose, but then I have a nice soft pinky rose as well, and I thought that that worked out really, really well together. So now you can see that I am basically just getting done with my shadow areas. I'm finally getting to that darkest area, and I've got all of my dark areas mapped out, and now I can come back from the darkest and start pulling back out to my lightest and trying to preserve some area for my shadows. And when I do my florals, one of the things I try not to worry about if there is space left the first time, because I can always go back in a second time and close it in. So I try to be light-handed to begin with, because what I don't want to happen is that I use so much color that I don't leave any space for my highlight. Now, the next challenge that I'm going to give myself is to leave some white space on a card when I am doing a floral image. That is something that I have not been able to accomplish yet, but I'm a work in progress, so we will get there and you guys will come along with me. So like I said, I'm just kind of working through this and decided this year, because May has always been, not always been, but since I lost my mom, a pretty significant month for me. I decided to change the taste of that month and to do something that I really enjoyed. And so I decided that I would feature Simon Says stamp sets this month and do some cards that would give ideas for creating some cards for females in your life. Now, I know that this is the month of Mother's Day, which is why I said May is for mothers. And I didn't want to try to cram it all in at the beginning of the month. There was so much going on that I didn't want to try to get everything done at the first of the month. So I just decided to make it a month-long thing. So I hope you guys enjoy this being a part of the second half of our month of May. And I hope that it gives you some inspiration for the entire year. So I'm moving on to one of my stems. Now, I chose to do 2 different color combinations for my stems and leaves. And I really like the blue-green color, and I know it's not realistic, but hey, it's my card and I really like that color. So I decided to do one traditional green combination, and then I brought in a blue-green combination as well to do with some of my flowers and stems. And then for one of them, I tried some glazing, but we won't see that on camera. It came out okay. I'm not sure about it. So here is our R80 flower, and this is going to be that nice soft pinky color flower that I really liked. Now, I will tell you that with using this R combination, there was a little bit more difficulty in getting variation of color, but it worked out okay. I would have to say that it didn't come out too bad. I could see some contrast in it. It wasn't as much contrast as I would like, but I think all in all, it still came out very well. So I will not complain. So we're going to, again, I'm going in and I'm mapping out my lightest color. And I am going to, for this one, I am going to go right in with that darkest color. So this is what I would typically do. So after I went in with the R81 and mapped everything out, I went straight to my R85, and then I'm going to go R85, R83, R81, and if I need to, I will do that over again. So this set I thought was so beautiful, and I was hoping to be able to use it more than just for Valentine's Day. Like sometimes, and I don't know if this happens to you guys, but please let me know, like I'll get a stamp set and I'll look at it and it will have come out for Mother's Day, or it will have come out for Father's Day or for Christmas, and I get in a rut, like only thinking in terms of that holiday for that stamp set. So I wanted to kind of stretch myself and bring you guys along the way. You know, you guys are like my partners in crime is what I call it. And really look at what else we could do with some of these stamp sets. So now I am going to bring back in that green combination to color the leaves of this flower. And then I'm going to show you guys one additional color combination. And then I'm going to go off screen and get some things put together and come back for us to then put our card together. So this is a nice YG combination, and the thing that I like about this combination is you could go darker with this like I did and bring in that 67 or 67, or you could have made it lighter. I chose the darker because I was using this BG combination, and I thought that that would offer some nice variation. So for this first one, I did not put the color on the screen. I'm sorry, it was BG 11. So now I'm going in with my darkest, which is the BG 78, and I am going to then work my way back out, so you will see the lightest color once we get to the end of this one. And I always kind of struggle with how I want my leaves to look, where I want to place the darkest areas of my leaves, like outside of knowing that where the flowers bend over to put a shadow there. I am working on that aspect of coloring my florals. Whew, I wish I could get through one card without having to tell y'all that words are hard, because me and speaking, once I get on camera, maybe I should start scripting it. Nah, I can't do that. I gotta just get on here and talk. So at any rate, this is how the florals are looking. Now I'm gonna go off screen, and then we're gonna come back, and I'm going to bring you all of the different pieces. So this is what we ended up coming up with. All of our florals. I think they came out really nice. Let me know what you think. Do you like the blue green mixed in with the green? Tell me. I want to know in the comments below. And so you see that I have also done the same thing with the stems. That very bottom one is the one that I used some color glazing on, so it got a little bit more of a variation. So then I used my Cricut, and I wanted a vase, and so I cut out this out of some Nuvo's cardstock, and then I cut 3 pieces of acetate, and then I took some scraps that I had, and I cut out I think like 9 more, because I wanted this to be fairly thick, because of course we're gonna do a shaker, right? It wouldn't be Keionna if we weren't doing a shaker. So the first thing I'm going to do is the reason that I did 3 pieces of acetate is because I wanted to encase the stems into one part. So this is going to be in between 2 pieces of acetate. So I'm going to place those where I want them to be, and then there will be another piece of acetate over the top. Now I started out by gluing those 2 pieces of acetate together, and then I have to come back later, as always, and put score tape on it. I don't know why I constantly make the decision to try to use glue on acetate. It takes forever to dry, and I don't have that level of patience. So I usually go back and pull it up and put score tape. So here you can see I've glued down all of the stems, and then I have placed those 2 pieces together and set them off to the side. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, and I am going to start with some score tape, and I'm going to place some score tape on my very bottom vase piece. So score tape is very, very good for gluing or taping anything together. It gives a great bond, and I love it, especially when I'm doing shakers, because I don't have to worry about the things that I'm creating coming apart, especially because I like to make shakers, and sometimes with shakers you have small bits, and so I'm just putting this all over the places of this vase. Now this is 1/8 inch score tape, and it fit perfectly with the size of the vase that I created. Wasn't intentional, somebody was just looking out for me. So now I'm going to take that very last piece of acetate that I created, and I'm going to put that together, and then I am going to make sure that I have that together, and I'm going to then sit that aside for just a moment. While I have that sitting aside, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue all these other vase pieces together. So once I get all of those glued together, and I am using art glitter glue from May Made It, I am going to build up a nice well for these pieces. So now we have got all of those pieces glued together, and I will show you just how thick that comes out to be. That is a pretty thick piece, because I decided that I wanted to use some seed beads with this one. So now I am going to take that very top piece and I'm going to put score tape on top of that. Now this is going to be the place where that double piece of acetate is going to sit on top of, and then I will put my last piece of mirror cardstock, which is this one. I am going to place score tape on that one as well, so that that can go on top of that double piece of acetate. Whew, words are hard again. I just don't understand. So now this is the place where I realized that the piece that I was gluing together with the art glitter glue was definitely going to take way too long for it to dry, and I didn't want to wait. So I am off camera right now using some of the score tape to tape that down versus waiting for the glue to dry. And I at this point was into the groove of what I was doing, and so of course I forgot that I was on camera. So now I'm going to bring in some of my pieces, and as you can see, I am using some of my scraps to make my card mat, because why not? You know, it's better than wasting cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue my front panel onto my mat panel that I've also used for the front panel of my my vase, because it just kind of makes it all matchy for me. I love it. It's like a win. So now I'm bringing in a piece of Shimmer cardstock by Cricut and a doily. This is my first time ever using a doily, guys. And I'm kind of trying to decide how I want that that to be placed on the cardstock. Do I want that to be wonky? Do I want it to be straight? I end up going with straight. For some reason, I always think that I want to do a wonky kind of tabletop. That's kind of what I envision this as being, but then I never go with it. So once I kind of get the layout done, I'm going to decide to go straight, and then I am going to trim that piece of shimmer paper down. And then I'm going to put some art glitter glue on the back, and this is the art glitter glue that I use from May Made It, and I usually just put it into a smaller Amazon bottle that has a very fine tip that works for me very well. And so I've glued that down, and now I'm going to take that doily and I'm going to decide where I want to fold and trim the doily so that I can have it placed in the center of my quote unquote tabletop. So I'm going to just fold that down, and my initial thing was I was going to fold it over, but then I forgot and I glued it down. So I just trimmed off the top portion, and I'm just going to line that up with the green shimmer paper. So now that I have that all glued down, and when you do this, you want to try to be light with your glue because it will wrinkle those doilies because they are very light. Now I'm going to take some glass seed beads, and this is the thicker part of the vase that I have glued all the 10 pieces together. And I'm taking some different colored blues and some clear, and I'm going to just fill in different areas. Now I'm not going to fill this all the way. I'm just going to probably go about a third of the way up. This for me kind of says this is water in the vase, you know, kind of that illusion, and it's a nice little shaker piece. I thought that this was pretty fun, and I was super excited when the thought came to me to create this for this card. So now I've got all of those shaker bits in. I can now remove the score tape from this very top portion and start to glue together the pieces for the acetate and the very top. So now you can see that here I am going to align that double piece of acetate that has the stems encased in it. I'm going to glue that of the on top of the stacked piece. And the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take that mirror gold cardstock and I'm going to take that piece and tape that on the top. And remember, this is all using that 1/8 inch score tape. So now we have a cute little shaker element. I thought this came out really cute. It really makes it look like you have stems in the vase. I just played with this for quite a while. If you follow me on any of my social media or are in any of the groups that I'm in, I posted a little picture of this as a little teaser because I was literally sitting in my house playing with it and I was just so giddy about it. I had to share it. So now again, I'm going to go in and start thinking about how I want this card to lay out. And then I'm going to start gluing things down. So that large rose in the back is going to glue down flat. And then the red and pink smaller roses, I am going to pop up on some foam tape. So these are going to go on either side, and then my third rose, that red rose, I am going to pop up on a double piece of foam tape to have it sit right over the top of the vase. So this is kind of what I'm going to be looking at for the layout. That's the word, layout of the card. So now we've got that third piece glued down with the foam tape, and now I'm starting to put in the leaves. Now I have not pressed this down really hard because I knew that I was going to want to figure out where I wanted each of my leaf clusters to go in. So this is going to give me the ability to still pull that up a little bit and tuck those in where I want them to finally be. So we're going to kind of tuck those in where those are going to be. And that top right piece, I'm going to wait until I get it on the card base where I want it, and then I will trim that down. So now that I have everything where I want it, I've glued down my vase, and the front portion of our card is pretty well complete. I thought that this came out pretty neat. Now, you know, we got to add our shimmer and things. That's my baby girl saying hi to all of you guys on YouTube. So now we're going to bring in our inside portion. And so what I've decided is I wanted to show some more of that pattern paper. And so I am going to put this at a diagonal, and then I'm going to trim off the excess. I'm going to trim off the excess. I should probably get some longer scissors. I think that would probably work better when I am doing this. Or maybe I should have used my trimmer, but I didn't. Decisions were made, right? But I did it straight, so I am so proud of myself. So now I have trimmed that off, and you guys will see that I have created that diagonal to show off some of my pattern paper, and I will then glue that onto that mirror cardstock from Tonic Studios. So once I get that glued down, then I can start working on the inside of our card with a sentiment. So I'm going to bring my Misty back out, and I'm going to bring out some sentiment pieces from the Mom's Meadow stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I saw a sentiment that I really wanted to use in there. So I've taken 2 sentiments out of there, and I'm going to line those up on the not patterned portion of the inside of the card. And then I'm going to also bring back in that smaller rose, and I'm going to have that at the very top edge of the card mat. So just to add a little extra interest to the inside of the card, you guys know I like to decorate the inside of my cards. So I am going to bring in some Distress Oxide in the color Cracked Pistachio for the flower portion, and then I will bring in my Gina K amalgam ink to stamp the actual sentiment that I am going to be using. And I thought this came out really well. I thought that that Cracked Pistachio kind of pulled in the color from the leaves that I wanted to use, and also from the pattern paper, so that's why I chose Cracked Pistachio. So now I'm going to stamp this down. It says, "Thank you for being there for me every step of the way. I love you." And I did not put a front sentiment on this card because I just felt like you could use this for any occasion. So now that extra leaf that I had left over from the coloring, I put that down at the bottom, and that will pretty much finish off the inside of our card. So this is kind of what our card is going to look like. Now I've pulled out some iridescent heart crystals, and I don't know where they are from my stash, and I'm going to use these on the front of my card. And I chose the iridescent because I wanted it to be able to pick up some of the colors from the roses, and as you can see, I'm placing some of them on the roses and some of them on the pattern paper, just to give a little hint of something in the background. You know, I have to have a little bit of bling and a little bit of shimmer for all of my cards. Speaking of, here comes my the grand appearance of my Spectrum pen, because I don't think I can do cards without it, actually. So I'm trying to pick up the shimmer to show you guys the shimmer that this gives. Like, I just love how shimmery this pen is. To me, this is my favorite one. I think it gives amazing sparkle to all of my images. I'm going to place some of that on the inside, and now it is time to place this on a card base. Now for my card bases, I typically use the 100-pound Recollections cardstock, and I find that if I score it on both sides, I don't get any cracking, and this is one place that I can save money on my cards, because I'm never ink blending, stamping, or coloring on my card base. They are literally just for the card base, and they are solid core cardstock. So that is kind of my little penny pincher mode. I get the multiple color packs, and that is what I use for my card bases at this moment. So now I'm going to trim off those last few pieces of those leaves, and that is going to pretty much finish off our card for today. So here we go. Just want to make sure you guys get some of that shimmer and see the shaker. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys will come back for the other installments. So make sure that you thumbs up, like, subscribe, and click the button if you would like to see more content. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day. Bye-bye.